So the type of dance that I do is called Bharatanatyam. So just to break it down, it's Bharatanatyam. So Bha stands for bhavam, which is emotion. Ra stands for ragam, which is music. Ta stands for talam, which is rhythm or the beats of the dance. And Natyam is sort of the mime-like dance, so it's more theatrical. Bharatanatyam is originally from the southern part of India. Actually, it was performed in temples thousands and thousands of years ago. So it has very, very deep roots in India itself. And typically what we do in a dance is we showcase two aspects of the dance. We showcase the pure dance, which is just steps. So it requires a lot of stamina. It requires, a good knowledge of the beats, which is the talam that I was talking about. And it requires a lot of poise and good hand gestures and good footwork and stuff like that. And then the more, the abhinaya, which is the emotion, talks about more story-like aspects of dance. So you're typically telling a story through your dance. A lot of the stories relate to some sort of mythological, story that was told back in India, or nowadays people are using it to express modern day issues, things like that. So that's where you have to use your face, because unlike theater, you can't speak. And speaking, of course, holds a lot of emotion, so you have to be able to portray that through your body language, through your facial expressions, through the way that how you connect with the music that's being sung. So there are a lot of aspects that go into both sides of the dance. I started dancing in 2010, just after I turned 8 years old. I decided to start dancing because my mom had danced in India when she was younger. So when they moved to the United States, and after I was born, she took me to a dance class when I was around 5 years old, I think, to see if I liked the dance. But I was too young then. I didn't really know what was happening. I wasn't very interested, so she didn't force me. And then I guess a couple years later, something clicked. I wanted to learn, so I asked her if she could enroll me in a class. So we found a teacher down in San Jose, and I got enrolled. My favorite part is probably getting to learn more about my culture and then seeing that through a more artistic manner. So I get to portray, a lot of the dance relates to mythological stories and things like that, so I get to portray those types of stories and learn kind of how to emote certain feelings and sort of get into the character of whatever dance I'm showing. I would say the least favorite part is it's very, very hard to get good at the dance, so you have to put in a lot of practice, as is for any sort of sport or art form or whatever it might be. And so especially training for my solo dance, it took a lot of time and a lot of sort of perseverance to push through, because there were days when I was kind of just too tired and I didn't want to do it, but I was also like, you know what, I have this performance I need to do, I want to do well for myself, so it's kind of, you have to push yourself, but it was very, very tough for sure. I think that dance definitely has brought me closer to my culture. I also sing, so getting to sing and dance about things that are related to my religion or related to India back home, I think it's a lot of fun. And also just with my teachers who teach me these things, I've learned a lot of things from them about their experiences in India, which have certainly been interesting, and things that I haven't really been aware of myself growing up in America. So our dance school has probably around 80 to maybe 100 kids, and there's also a company that's more senior than obviously the students, so those dancers are probably in their 20s, maybe 30s, and they've been with the school for a really, really long time. When I started, I was with the school, and I had a really good time. I was making friends, I was learning how to dance, I was really enjoyed going to classes, and then as I started moving up and becoming more senior through the school, my dance teacher gave us opportunities to perform with the company, which was really great because we got to experience what it was like being on stage, what sort of has to go into performing for a large production and all those things. So I got to dance with the company on a couple productions. With the school, I was learning, but it was more with my friends and, just getting used to what the dance was like. And then with the company, it was more like, well, this is, in order to have a really good production, what all do you need to do? And it was professional, but still enough to have a good time with it. So definitely different experiences, but great in both ends. This is just a small selection of the jewelry that we have to put on when we're dancing, since a lot of the aspect of performing, you use this sort of traditional jewelry. So this is actually placed, you have the middle part, so this is called a mangtika, but there are a lot of different names for it depending on what part of India you're from. So this is placed on your head, down the middle part. This is a choker, so as the name suggests, it goes around your neck, and this is one of 2 necklaces you wear. You wear the choker around your neck, and then you wear a longer necklace that will go further down on your blouse. And then we have our earrings are called jhumkis, and so they have they're very, very large actually, and so they're very heavy and they tend to be difficult to wear, especially for the younger kids, but you sort of get used to it. And then attached to the jhumkis we have what are called matos, which attach to the bottom and then go up on your ear itself. And then the last one of these is the sun and moon. So this goes on top of your head here, and this is probably this kind of relates to the more mythological aspect of holding the sun and the moon in the hair. So we have foundation, blush, lipstick, all that good stuff. We use a specific type of stage makeup from India. It's called pancake. Spelled like the food, and it's pretty full coverage, pretty cakey, of course, as the name suggests, so I don't particularly like it that much, but it's really important when you're on stage and you have lights, because your face is so important. The audience, of course, needs to be able to see everything that's going on. We also have pretty extreme eyeliner, like some pretty large wings, but once again, eyes are extremely expressive, so that's another reason why we should do that. And then we also wear bindis, which are, for us, it's kind of like a red longish part on your forehead. This is worn by a lot of Indian women for sort of any event, but for us specifically for dance, we tend to wear a larger version just to showcase that. So when you start learning, you probably take only 1 class a week, typically an hour, and you're just learning the basics with your teacher with a class of maybe 8 kids. So of course you go home, you practice just like you would practice for any other sport or whatever it might be. And as you start getting more senior, you tend to take more classes. So I took probably 2 to 3 classes a week, which of course means you're learning more, which means you have to practice more, so you're putting more time into it, and that's when you start seeing the kids who are more serious about the art form and those who aren't, necessarily as serious about it. And then when you start reaching the level of being able to perform for your solo dance, you have private lessons with your dance teacher. Some people will get mentors, which are part of the company that I was talking about. So you have senior dancers who will also help you prepare, because you have to learn, around 8 pieces, very long pieces too. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of preparation, and you also have to build up your stamina. So you have to practice, every week. I would say I practice, 4 to 5 hours more on weekends, because you're trying to get ready for a 3-hour show. So you have to put in the time to be able to memorize the pieces, to be able to perform, to be able to make sure that they're perfect. So you do a really good job on stage. So it just depends on where you are in the journey, kind of. If you're, performing, once you start getting closer to the show, you're obviously going to ramp up the hours. When you're starting out, it's not too much. So it just depends on how old you are, where you are, what your seniority level is. Another thing that we wear in Bharatanatyam, but actually in a lot of different Indian classical art forms, are bells. So we wear them around our feet, and it's another show if you know how senior you are, because when you start, you just have 1 strand of bells, and then as you start getting older, you tend to have 4 to 5 strands of bells. So it just depends on, how old you are, how much you can handle, because they tend to be quite heavy. And the really nice thing about bells, the thing that I really love about them, is of course the sound that they make when you dance, because footwork is a really, really large part of the dance. So every time you hit a beat or whatever it might be, the bell sounds, and it's very, very interesting. I think it's really different from a lot of other dance forms. It draws a lot of attention to the feet, which of course are keeping in pace with the rhythm of the beats. So that's probably one of my favorite parts about the whole the costume and the makeup and stuff, is probably wearing those bells.